Friends in Liberty, Commissioners of Allen County, City Council President Russ Yale, representing Southwest, Jason Arp, and everybody I can carbon copy. My name is Jason Forsberg. For those that don't know me, I have been a resident of Allen County since the year 2000. I'm going to try to make this fast. We are not living in the year 2021. It is 1775. We're not suffering a COVID-19 pandemic. We are tolerating what Thomas Paine referred to as the fatal 19th, which was the tipping point of the American Revolution. Please review this document. Please review this video for your benefit, for our benefit. It is a verbatim reading of a document titled Causes and Necessities of Taking Up Arms. It was as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Declaration of Independence. And what is happening in Allen County, Indianapolis, and everywhere else is not just a collision of ideas and egos. This goes far beyond patriotic outcry, fanfare, Tea Party sentiments, or rising taxes. So, I'll give it to you in several ways. This video will be a verbatim reading of the Causes and Necessities, but only excerpts to nail these points. So you can read that document on your own. Go out and read it on your own. I will also give you a link to a video where I do a reading from my book, and that will be more like for the left brain artistic types. You can hear it in story form, where there's a mixture of literature and excerpts. And so here we go. These will be your verbatim excerpts, and I will do this to begin and close the quotes and explain it. So here we go. The inhabitants of Boston, being confined within that town by the general their governor. Okay, so a quarantine perhaps? The commercial intercourse of whole colonies with foreign countries and with each other was cut off. So the economy was shut down. Wives are separated from their husbands, children from their parents, the aged and the sick from their relations and friends who wish to attend and comfort them. Social distancing. Those who have been used to live in plenty and even elegance are reduced to deplorable distress. Trapped in nursing homes, contact tracing, working from home without childcare, working at work without kids in school, intimidation and exclusion in public and private. Parliament adopted an insidious maneuver calculated to divide us, where colony should bid against colony. So states are buying masks at insane prices from other states. Masks and vaccines are creating social division. Residents are fleeing. States in vicious competition and lawsuits. Uninformed what ransom would redeem their lives, and thus to extort unknown sums that should be sufficient to gratify, if possible to gratify. So, commissioners, friends, executive actions were issued faster than states and cities could keep up, than the colonies could keep up, leaving them uninformed and in a state of chaos. Essentially, legal extortion of wealth and power via the cowardice of local authorities and their constituency. Fruitless were all the entreaties, arguments, and eloquence of an illustrious band of the most distinguished peers and commoners who nobly and strenuously asserted the justice of our cause to stay or even mitigate the heedless fury with which these accumulated and unexampled outrages were hurried on. Okay, so what we have, the perpetual dismissal, often with malice, the voice of we the people. 2 years of being ignored, attempting to redress grievances. venting the grossest falsehoods and calumnies against the good people of these colonies, to declare them all, either by name or description, to be rebels and traitors. Okay, so mothers, fathers, military vets, public servants, fire, police, small business owners, common sense civilians are merciless and mean. Mom and dad are enemies of the state and traitors of a rising superstate. And the best example is the January 6th narrative, right? Rebels and traitors. Moving on. Instigating the people of that province and the Indians to fall upon us. Schemes have been formed to excite domestic enemies against us. So Trojan horse candidates, rhinos, and well-organized Marxist front groups assaulting and killing the elderly and innocents, shooting cops, burning down the Twin Cities and others, defacing monuments, even now. In those days, it was a corrupt parliament. Today, these schemes were supported publicly by the individual, emphatically by who claims to be the Vice President of the United States. Next. They have undertaken to give and grant our money without our consent. Trillions in printed stimulus, test kits and vaccines, funding for research, right? Unelected power silos of the CDC, the NIH, the WHO, FDA, hundreds of federal sub-agencies, all influenced by foreign interests. Next, we're halfway through here, so please stay with me, guys. If this is a lot for you to digest, and you probably shouldn't be in public office. This should be like second nature stuff. You should just get this and know this. I'm 39. If these things are new to you, man, you've got a lot of reading to do. Man, you've got a lot of considering to do here. Now we go. Next excerpt here. Statutes passed extending jurisdiction of courts beyond their ancient limits. Okay. So translated today, more state and federal overreach. Even private organizations are enforcing their internal policies like they are criminal codes or constitutions. Masking and washing in public places. No access to what you pay for, or no access at all. Consumers are being trespassed for exposing their nostrils. I was nearly criminally trespassed for not covering my nostrils in the Indianapolis Museum for Children, a hands-on museum. What we have is psychotic, sociopathic contradictions of natural laws, modern science, and common sense. Public offices are wildly extending their jurisdictions with the support of employees, law enforcement, and other types of gatekeepers and stormtroopers of society. Next excerpt. For depriving us of the accustomed and inestimable privilege of trial by jury in cases affecting life and property. So people and assets are seized by non-peers, without warrants, under duress, through channels other than criminal proceedings. Life, fear of litigation over the fear of losing patients. Property, fear of losing positions and licenses over revenue. I had a guy call the cops on me in Indianapolis when I was a VIP member of the museum. I was standing in the civil rights shrine, having my rights stripped away. My $200 annual pass with my mask on my nose below my mouth wasn't enough to appease the stormtrooper. He wanted me out. It's insidious. Okay? We are beyond the point of negotiation. That's Indianapolis. If that comes to Allen County, believe me, you're going to have problems. Okay, if that comes to Whitley County or Steuben County or Adams County, this is going to be hell to pay. Next excerpt. Here we go. This is the big one here. This next excerpt is kind of like your pinnacle one. For suspending the legislatures of one of the colonies. Okay, so mountains of executive orders at the state and federal levels, often issued to counteract each other. So how silly is that? What you have is like monarchies in the state and monarchies in the federal government that are like warring against each other now with paper. Next, interdicting all commerce to the capital of another. Okay, so billions of dollars under public trust are flowing into fat pockets via big tech, big pharma, and non-profit health conglomerates. Our founders coined this term as easy emoluments of statutable plunder. Okay, essentially, this is theft and monopoly through election and legal channels, legal loopholes. Okay, this is a criminal organization operating in public and private right under our noses. Okay, next excerpt. Altering fundamentally the form of government. See, when I do this is verbatim from 1775. This one, fundamentally changing the form of government, you have the impending threat of a constitutional convention. These people are diabolical. They want to open up the Constitution for interpretation. Are you insane? That is a Pandora's box that we will never recover from. You can't fathom the damage of doing something like that. Okay, that's like changing the 10 Commandments. Okay, wake up, guys. Next excerpt. Exempting the murderers of colonists from trial and in effect from punishment. Translated, deep state hits on associates in power. Been happening for a while. Okay, the media is not reporting on them. You have to be watching certain outlets and YouTube and BitChute and Brighteon and other alternatives. Rumble. You're not, Commissioner, if you don't know that they're putting hits out already on miscreants of their power, right? People who, like when the governor of Georgia was positioned to maybe call his Secretary of State and not get a certification, what happened? His daughter's boyfriend car blows up? Okay, are we men or mice? Are we afraid of them or not? Listen to this. This is the excerpt. Exempting the murderers of colonists from trial and in effect from punishment. So this is direct murder and indirect murder in the form of police stand-downs and democratic cities refusing to punish or police criminal action or gangs. I talked to a friend in Chicago. He said the mayor wants to sue the gangs. Right, because criminals don't buy guns, because criminals show up for court, right? Next excerpt. Colonists charged with committing certain offenses shall be transported to England to be tried. We are seeing the abduction of pastors and other dissidents of this superstate who have not been convicted of a crime. And the reverse, as incarcerated are being relocated out of prisons under the guise of safety, and civilians are being relocated to quarantine camps, Australia, and Allen County being relocated to home learning or gymnasiums. Are you kidding me? This is happening on your watch. Listen, Russ. Listen, Nelson Peters. Listen, guys. Jason Arp. This is like so much more serious than you even know. You guys are busy, but I get to just bathe in these things all day long so I can help you understand we're past the precipice, right? Next excerpt. We're almost done. I love you guys. Stay with me. Okay, so, quote, what is to defend us against so enormous, so unlimited a power? The Constitution. We the people. Local government. You guys. You're the sheepdogs. Next quote. Not a single man of those who assume it is chosen by us, or is subject to our control or influence. Okay, so this is textbook foreign dominion. And it's been going on since the dawn of man, but it's very different now because now we are seeing it. Now we see what's always been going on. So the WHO, the United Nations, China, and other interested parties, and other political unions all around this world, they represent foreign dominion. That is what Britain was doing. Foreign dominion. Stripping islands and states and colonies of their sovereignty. It's the New World Order. That's who Britain was. They were the New World Order of the 18th century. Okay? Next. By one statute it is declared that Parliament can, of right, make laws to bind us in all cases whatsoever. See, these were the intolerable acts. Okay, that was the stuff that we do know, right? The taxes on tea, tariffs, and the Stamp Act, the Quartering Act. Those were just like your minor infractions. But it was the Declaratory Act that was the final straw. That's when the Parliament passed this umbrella law that said, we can screw you any which way from Sunday, and sucks to be you. Okay, that's the common man translation. The Declaratory Act was destruction by legislation. Okay, there are some laws we can't recover from. What are the Declaratory Acts today? What are the laws to bind us in all cases whatsoever? Do you not know? The Patriot Act, the Affordable Health Care Act, the CARES Act, and God help us if this passes, the Equality Act, right? One statute to bind us in all cases. Wake up, Commissioner. Next. They are all of them exempt from the operation of such laws. Well, absolutely they are. Nancy Pelosi's not getting spied on. Barack Obama wasn't getting spied on. Certain generals are, certain generals aren't. Not everybody gets the benefit of the Patriot Act. Not everybody gets the health care benefits of Obamacare, right? They had exemptions for federal employees, right? Whitmer, Lightfoot, they weren't wearing their masks the day they told the people of this Midwest to not have Thanksgiving dinner with their family. They were exempt from the very laws that they're enforcing. Writing's on the wall. Next. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, the D.C. ruling class is explicitly excluding themselves from these laws. Okay? So, unless you are a dissident of the superstate or the super party, then you'll be spied on, censored, and doxxed. Else, you have to follow. And we're seeing that in wholesome school districts that used to be somewhat Judeo-Christian, somewhat common sense. Riddled with tyrants, riddled with Tories, crawling with traitors. The building superintendent of Max. He's the reason I read Thomas Paine's Common Sense. And yet he's standing in there with a thing over his mouth. It looks more like what you'd wear if you were going to rob a liquor store. It wasn't even like, the more trendy masks that the lawyers were wearing. God, it's sickening. Next excerpt. Okay. Hostilities thus commenced by the British troops have been since prosecuted by them without regard to faith or reputation. Prosecution without regard to faith or reputation. You see, it doesn't matter who you know or how much money you have. If you are not a member of the Nazi Party, you will be persecuted. And we're seeing a total unilateral persecution of our citizenry, including, but not limited to, Christians, athletes, presidents, musicians, certain outlier media groups, right? Epic Times. Child abuse in poor school districts. Child abuse in public school districts. It doesn't matter about your faith or reputation. You are an enemy of the state. Next, this is a longer one. We're almost done here. The inhabitants, in order to procure their dismission, entered into a treaty. They accordingly delivered up their arms, but in open violation of honor. The governor ordered the arms deposited, to be seized by a body of soldiers, detained the greatest part of the inhabitants in the town, and compelled the few who were permitted to retire to leave their most valuable effects behind. Okay, that was all verbatim from the document. So, translated, their ultimate goal is to end the Second Amendment, right? And then, obviously, in those days, more quarantines and attacks on personal property, right? You lose more than your guns. You lose your fields, your wife, your business. All right, next. Almost done. This is good. For erecting in a neighboring province a despotism dangerous to our very existence, and for quartering soldiers upon the colonists in time of profound peace. What could be a despotism dangerous to our very existence? What could we erect? I'm not talking about the Constitution. I'm talking about what could we erect and build that would be dangerous to our very existence? In times of peace, right? What was this translated today? The post-January 6th military barricade of the United States Capitol. Chain link fence, barbed wire, the militia, special forces, sniper units. Yes, that is the despotism. This was characteristic with a communist Soviet Union. This is like East Germany type crap. This is Nazi Germany. This protest, right? This January 6th protest, considered in lieu of the greatest election fraud of modern history, was not just non-violent, but profoundly peaceful. Miraculous, to be clear. Hey, Nikki Venable, you were there. Nikki Venable, running for commissioner over there in Whitley County, she said it was a love fest. A 1 million man and woman love fest. Okay? This was not an insurrection. How dare an elected official use that word? That's worse than the N-word. That's worse than the N-word. Okay. In that context, right? We should regard these oppressive measures as free men ought to do. Verbatim. Yes, we should Allen County. Yes, we should Whitley County. Yes, we should Adams, Wells, Steuben. Every county, every state in this God-forsaken land, it seems, ought to regard these measures as free men ought to. A flipping chain link fence around the United States Capitol. Okay, we're nearly done. And then I'm going to encourage you and say some words. We're still in the document, okay? I'm just giving you the verbatim text. I'm translating it to today. And then I'm going to speak some words to you directly. Here we go. And therefore sent fleets and armies to enforce them. The indignation of the Americans was roused. It is true. But it was the indignation of a virtuous, loyal, and affectionate people. Indeed, the January 6th gathering was marked by indignation. People of all ages and ethnicity from every walk of life, including the elderly with fanny packs, were now terrorists and enemies of the state. And so they sent fleets and armies. And they pinpointed and arrested those guilty of indignation, all across this nation for misdemeanor trespassing. A redneck from Arkansas kicked his feet up on Nancy's desk. They slapped him with everything. Okay, wake up, commissioners. We have got a battle before us. You need to work together. Friends and leaders, as you can see, we do not know as much as we thought about history. We are not experiencing a hiccup in American life. This COVID-19 continuation is no different than the fatal 19 of April, when these evils were happening to our ancestors and happening now to our children and grandchildren. Just like then, it is now. There were Tories everywhere. Tories were those who were not persuaded. They were not convinced that Britain was the enemy of America. Anyone supporting these measures or mindsets now, 2 years into this mess, must be one of three things. Must be one, completely ignorant of history. Two, want to repeat it. Or three, a privately interested traitor to the Republic. And I don't think any of you are the latter. We know there's one massive, dysfunctional, disorganized bunch in Washington. So D.C. employs like 2 million and counting. But here's the good news, commissioners. There are over 90,000 local and state governments. And you guys, city council, commissioners, county council, superintendents, you represent the majority. And so, therefore, you represent the first line and the last line of defense. So stand together. Find each other. Find each other. You don't need to find any more common ground than the 1775 causes and necessities. Okay, I don't want to have to send you 5 links to the vaccine-injured families who have shown the injuries. Even montage videos of local news stations showing the injuries. This must end, and it will never end until we relieve ourselves. We don't have to take it anymore, right? Like the old song goes, we're not gonna take it. Call each other, find each other. If someone's running against you, find out if you should run or if you should support them. There's 2 people left in America, and it's not Christians and pagans, okay? There's 2 people left. There are British, right? They're the stormtroopers. They're the Emperor Palpatines, right? The ones that think that all this stuff is about our health and a time of crisis that we must abate and turn over our power and open up the Constitution, right? A new imperial order, right? There's the dark side. And then there's the Jedi. The guys that get things done. And they're not popular. That's the Jason Arps. Jason Arp is a Jedi. I don't know most of you people, but I know that if you've watched most of this video, you must be persuaded. There's no other alternative. So watch it again. I'm going to send you the text that I read. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to show up to the meetings. And we're going to take care of this problem. And we're going to build back from the ground up. And it's going to be hard work. And there can be no egos involved. There can be no private interest. There can be no ego. Humility must drive us now. Passion. The warm passion of the Whig, right, is incomparable to the cold malice of the Tory. Don't be a Tory. Just be who God made you to be. If you are in office, just make sure that you are following God. I'm not going to pretend you can run for office or hold an office and not know God. Okay, he is the one that gave us these rights. And he's the one that can take them away. And we've allowed abortion in this country for 5 decades, and I would not be surprised if we were to lose more. We deserve it. But if we repent and we get back on the freedom train and we fight abortion, right? That's the cause of our day. That is really the cause. That's really the linchpin. Murdering babies, that will end your nation. This is just another study, another document. But please go through this list and tell me at the next meeting or next election that we are not right here. Okay, we're at 30 minutes. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Don't fear the variant. Fear God. Bye.